slope of the week. I will take you out on our dog walk later, like I promised. But my idea for today's vlog was to talk to you about my pattern designing process. I have recently finished a Cartref 4-ply pattern design. Jenny's working on one as well, and we're going to release them in time for the Knit Tea Retreat virtual marketplace, which I want to say is the 13th of June. I can't remember, I'll put it on the screen. So I've designed the item, I've knitted it, I've blocked it, and what I'm doing today is sitting down with piles of stuff to actually write the pattern up. So I'll give you a quick look at the finished item. This is it. That's upside down. Ignore me. This is it. I haven't come up with a name yet, but as you can see, it's a colourwork cowl. Do you want to see my insides? You can see my backside if you like. See all my floats there. I'll talk about the design itself in greater detail on this weekend's podcast, because there's a story behind each of these patterns. But I've knitted this up in the forest colourway of Cartref 4-ply, which is the green, and it means forest. And the contrast colour is Naturel, which means natural, and it's our undyed colourway. I've got some leftovers, plenty of leftovers, and I weighed these before I started, so I'll know exactly how much I used. I've got a bit of a bottom border that didn't work out, so I just cut it off and did something else. I've got my ball band. And then I'm starting to knit another one in Coron, which means royal, and it's this beautiful plummy purpley colour. Currently we have skeins of this and the green. In fact, I think we've got all colourways still in our shop, which is linked down below if you're interested. Oh, and of course my laptop's updating. Isn't that typical? Typical, you finally sit down to do some laptop work and it starts updating. Okay, while it's thinking about that, I'm going to flip the phone around and show you how I get myself sorted to actually sit down and write the pattern. Here is my setup. So obviously my laptop configuring Windows Update, which is inevitable. I've made myself a pot of tea and I've lit a little scented candle. I'm missing my friends this week, and that one was a present from my friend who only lives 3 streets away. I've got a sheepy mug for inspiration and a purple biro, because writing things in purple is definitely more helpful. I've got my leftover yarns, my ball band, so I can make sure that I get the information right in terms of meterage and things like that. I've got my work in progress. I've only done the rib. I haven't started the patterning yet. There's my finished item. This is just a lever arch folder that I do all of my design work in. Obviously it's super secret. And then just underneath this clipboard, I think you can just see one of the pattern motifs at the top. I use squared paper when I'm doing colourwork designs. So I roughed things out in pencil, and then I didn't like the order they were in, so I cut them out and stuck them on a fresh sheet with blue tack. Just so that I could move them around without wanting to start again completely. And then as soon as my laptop is playing ball, I'll actually be able to get to work on writing things up. It still says it's configuring updates, so I'll keep talking instead. I had the initial idea for what I wanted to do. Again, full details in the podcast on the weekend. And I picked colour combinations. I chatted with Jenny about the colourways that she was going to use for her design, so we didn't use the same thing. And then I got knitting, and I did the colourwork charts before I started. I took a fairly solid guess on my tension. I knit up some stocking stitch tension squares in the 4-ply yarn to be ready to have for shows, so that people could actually have a look at the fabric knitted up on different needle size. So I used those tension, and it was only going to be an estimate because obviously they were knit flat. and my item is knit in the round, but it gave me a head start. I knitted my way through the design, and now I'm going to sit down and actually write the pattern up. It shouldn't take long. It's not a hugely complicated design. The stitch count obviously doesn't change very much on a straight up and down cowl. It'll take me a little bit of time. I use Stitch Mastery software for creating charts, and that will take a little bit of time, but not much. And then when it's all done, I save it as a PDF and I email it off to my tech editor, who is a lovely lady called Kathy. I know she sometimes watches. Hi, Kathy. She is an Australian lady living and working in the States. She currently works full-time in one job, but is transitioning to becoming a tech editor, I think over the next couple of months. Well, she already is a tech editor, but she's going to drop the full-time work and just focus on the tech editing. She's also a brilliant pattern designer if what you're after is baby booties. I'll put her tag down here, but on Instagram and on Ravelry, she is called Shake Your Booties. I've mentioned her before, and she does the most ingenious baby booty designs. She's done New York taxi booties, she's done love heart booties, she's about to publish some butterfly ones. And the patterns are in the round and flat, so you can choose. So if you're in the market for baby booties, you must go and look her up. Yeah, I send it off to her and she goes through it with a electronic red pen and sends it back. And once I've made any corrections or any alterations, it will then be ready to send out to my test knitters. Tech editors will do different things for you depending on how much you want them to do. For me, Kathy checks any of the maths involved. So for example, stitch counts. If I say increase 6 stitches over the next 4 rows 5 times or something, she'll go through and double check my maths. She'll also check for basic things like spelling and grammar. And she'll also offer me suggestions. If something I've written isn't crystal clear, she'll suggest an alternative wording. And that is possibly one of the most useful things a tech editor can do for you, because I know exactly what I want and I've already knitted it. So in my brain, what I write makes perfect sense. So you really need that second pair of eyes to just to double check that it actually makes sense to other people. So it's a very useful process. I've already found some test knitters from my monthly thread in Ravelry. There's a load of lovely people that are always happy to test. Some are going to use Cartref 4-ply and some are going to use other yarns, and I really like that. As a designer, when my pattern is released, I want there to be options in the completed projects with photos so that people can see. I mean, I've used a solid main colour and a solid contrast colour, and I've used the same two throughout, but I would love to see this knitted up with maybe a gradient main colour and a solid contrast colour, or a solid main colour and a gradient contrast, or people using scraps or anything like that. So I really like a variety of test knitted items. I run my test knit through my Ravelry group. I always set up a special thread. Excuse me 1 second while I shut the door. Dave is building a back fence and it involves lots of hammer drills. Yes, so I run everything in my Ravelry thread. And the things I ask for feedback from my test knitters, again, the maths in case Kathy and I have missed anything. And again, clarity. Do they all understand what I mean? Has it been a struggle? Could I word it more simply? And by keeping everything in the thread, if somebody spots an error or a discussion pops up around something, everybody can see what's going on. And if I need to update my pattern PDF, I can do that, and I can make sure that everyone is aware. It'll be coming back out to them. Once the testers have finished, I usually have another round of edits to make to my pattern, and then once that's done, I can upload it into Ravelry. Ravelry is a brilliant website. uploading the pattern takes a bit of time, but because they've included so much detail, so there's a load of ticky lists that you can select options for the characteristics of the finished item, or the tags that you can put on, like search terms. And they also handle things for me like VAT. In the UK, my knitting business does not need to be registered for VAT, or sales tax, I think you call it in the States. But for some reason, electronic pattern downloads do attract VAT, regardless of whether or not your whole business income meets the minimum threshold. So very kindly, Jess and Cassidy run all of that for us, and they take the money and they pay it all to the government without me having to do a thing except pay my monthly invoice, which is an absolute bargain. And then once it's all up on Ravelry, I mark it as ready to sell, and you lot can buy it. Because this is a Cartref Yarn pattern, it will be available in the Ravelry store and on the Cartref Yarn website, and because you can sell PDF downloads through there as well, so those will be available in the two places. My other designs are only available through Ravelry currently, and if you find me on Ravelry, you can click through to my designer store. I think I'm just Zoe Carter Designs in there, so it's super easy to find. The marketing for the pattern, well, any pattern, can be started as soon as the object is finished, and you know, lots of designers advertise for test knitters on social media. I always get my friends to do it, but one of my other jobs for today is to start putting up on Instagram that this pattern is coming out and trying to drive a bit of interest for it. So that's what I'm going to do. Got my tea, purple pen, my updates have now finished, and if I'm really lucky, I'll get the first draft of it all laid out in a couple of hours, and then I can go and walk Jim the dog down the beach and you can come with me. I better crack on, I think. Hi everybody. I'm afraid I've yet again failed to take you to the beach. It's about 7 o'clock now, and I've only just managed to get the dinner in, and I'm absolutely shattered. I don't know why I'm so tired today. And I have to be up and out for a really early blood test tomorrow morning, so maybe tomorrow, third time's the charm. And I think I got a little bit sunburned, sat out in the garden just now. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's chatting about pattern writing and things like that. I managed to get my pattern written up and sent off to the tech editor. I've got one issue to sort out with the Stitch Mastery software, but Jenny said she'd give me a hand with that tomorrow. I think this evening is just going to be eating chicken casserole and watching the new season of Bosch on Netflix, and probably a bit of knitting. I hope you have a peaceful evening as well, and you're enjoying some sunshine, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!